Hi, Dr. Rudy Cashman. Happy holidays to you. And today we'll be speaking, as usual, in this 1/2 hour about preventing diabetes, mainly type 2, but a little bit of type 1, and how to stop it and how to reverse it so that you don't get those 30, 40, 50 diseases that are caused by diabetes. Yes, and it's not just the overweight people that are diabetics, which almost everyone is, but the blood tests are the bottom line. But about 20 to 40% of people that are of normal weight, are diabetic. Yes, they need to get their blood tested. So just because that you think, oh, I don't have diabetes because of normal weight, no, you got to get your blood test. And what is very interesting, in which I'm trying to press upon the people, but especially the medical system, but I just don't think that they are ready for it. And that's the work of Joseph Kraft, K-R-A-F-T, and he wrote a book. I have a copy of articles by him, but he's got this yellow book that's in the online. You can actually buy PDF and get it real cheap, $2 or $3. But the actual book itself, I noticed that on Amazon they don't seem to sell it as much, but the original company that copyrighted his book do sell it. So try the library. And what this article I have here, which I want to review, is Understanding Joseph Kraft, K-R-A-F-T. Okay, you can get him on YouTube. He's 92 years old. You see him, he's died since that time at age 96, I think. But he's saying, I will be looking down upon you for decades before maybe industry, especially the medical industry, will change to prevent diabetes at its earliest opportunity. He's got a point. I totally agree with him. I've known about his work probably 15 years or so. But what he really is about is, he was from the University of Illinois, is testing for serum insulins 10 to 15 years before the blood sugar ever goes up. Why is that important? Because changes are occurring in your body when the blood sugar is still normal. Wow. And they found this out when they autopsied Korean, Vietnamese, American soldiers. When they died, they were normal weight. They did an autopsy. They found the American soldiers had some of them had advanced vascular disease already from having diabetes. Their insulin levels were up. The Koreans and Vietnamese were eating different food, and when it didn't have it yet. And we should be checking even children starting at age 3 with serum insulins, and we would really attack this pandemic across the world. It's not just here, but I'd say 80–90% of the people in this area are diabetic if properly tested. Most doctors here would say, oh, 50%. No, it's about 90% because the changes are really occurring in their body. They can have kidney disease, have no symptoms, and the first time they have symptoms is a stage 4. Then you got to go dialysis, and it's very hard to turn the ship around. So listen to what I have to say. Joseph Kraft is a medical doctor who measured over 14,000 oral glucose tolerance tests in his lifetime at the University of Illinois. This is a standard test to measure the blood glucose response to a standardized amount of glucose over 2 hours. The difference is that he measured over 5 hours, included blood insulin levels. That's the reason he knows all that. And this is reviewed in many doctors, Dr. Mike Hyman, Professor Grant, Dr. Cummings, the Fat Emperor, they reviewed it. And the point is, he can catch the road to diabetes while it's still in situ, just inside the cell. That's the earliest you can discover anything. And he'd established these curves. So insulin patterns 1 through 5, you can see them, and you can get us off his book. And patterns 2 to 4 are hyperinsulinemia, diabetes in situ. That was in the cell already, you know it's there. And what he's saying is these people are diabetic, period. After 2 hours, if it's still elevated, the insulin, you are diabetic. So you can make it much earlier and prevent this disease. So what he's saying is hyperinsulinemia, elevated insulin level, the pancreas secretes it, as you know, precedes hypoglycemia. It goes up before the blood sugar goes up. This is very important. It's very important because you could tell the patient to eat differently, good fats, moderate protein, fruits and vegetables help cause diabetes, contrary to what you might think, because they're full of fructose. So in essence, this is an overflow thing. A normal cell has a certain amount of sugar in it, otherwise you wouldn't be alive, okay? Maybe over 70, 60 you might tolerate. And then it can go too low if you're type 1 diabetic, so you have internal starvation of the cell. Or you can have an overflow where the sugar is too much outside the cell. It's filled the cell, and now you need insulin to stuff it in there, but you still get the sugar. That's why diabetics become overweight, because you're full of stuffed sugar cells, okay? And so insulin resistance is caused by hyperglycemia, elevated blood sugar, and hyperinsulinemia, where the insulin level is high. So hyperinsulinemia precedes hyperglycemia. Okay, this is a pandemic across the world. It's just not locally, but Allen County here has an extremely high rate of diabetics. And what the hospital system is doing, they will see you, get your blood sugar. Most of the time, they never get an insulin level, and then they will give you insulin or metformin. Metformin sucks the sugar into the cell. Insulin pushes it into the cell, but the sugar's still there. To read about this in more detail, I want you to gather information, and I want you to get rid of your diabetes. I don't accept it. Like I had lunch with somebody recently. I said, well, Rudy, I respect diabetes. I'll take my pills and shots. Well, that individual is going to die 20 years younger and maybe have complications, blindness, dementia. Almost 80% of dementia is caused by diabetes, increased rates of cancer, heart disease, lung disease, amputations, dislocations, skin diseases, all can be avoided. But he wants to take medication. Maybe he doesn't understand it. I'm sure he does not want to die younger, but I think what it is if the doctors don't bring it up regularly, the patient don't get it. There's cognitive dissonance going on all over the country, maybe all across the world. And but here's an excellent book. You got to gather some information. So I don't want you to accept what I am saying, okay? Here's a good book, Goodbye, Pills and Needles. Pills and Needles. Goodbye. A Total Rethink. Summer's Craft in it. Type 2 Diabetes and a 90-Day Cure by Tom Jelinek. Okay. Here's another book. He explains in great detail, very easy to read. You don't have to be a doctor to read it. In about a week, you'll get through it. Because I want you to understand diabetes. It's something you must understand. And let me tell you one of the chapters, the problem with metformin. Yeah, that's a drug that, it's very safe. But it also has problems with it, not as much as insulin. Insulin just stuffs the sugar into the cell, and you get fat. Mm-hmm. You'll get a lot heavier if you're insulin user. And after a while, your body will adapt to it, and you need to take more insulin and more insulin and more insulin, and you get heavier, and then you get heavier. So and he tells in very simple language, and we're trying to eliminate fat because being overweight causes most of diabetes, but not all of it. 30–40% of the people that are normal weight are diabetic. Their fat is in the liver and in the pancreas, and the pancreas is so full of fat it can't secrete the insulin that you need. So that's the reason for the serum insulin test. Once you get the fat out of the pancreas and the liver, your diabetes will be gone 99% of the time. And it doesn't barely take 4 to 6 weeks to do it. If you do the fasting 16-8, your body secretes hormones in the morning. I don't eat in the morning because my body has secreted from the hypothalamus, has secreted growth hormone, steroids because the day is approaching, CCK from the gut, and the enzymes that regulate appetite in the stomach, they drop, and I'm not hungry. Like today, I ate lunch, but I ate no breakfast. I wasn't hungry because those hormones will regulate your hunger. I can even play pickleball or walk around the neighborhood feeling strong and have had nothing to eat. People don't realize that. And this book very carefully explained that. And that way you can never get diabetes. You can stop it. But don't just accept the medications. Get rid of the disease. Get rid of the disease. Get rid of the disease, which can be done quite easily. But this book by Jelinek, which comes down to a low carbohydrate, eating good high fats, and they taste. They're good and bad fats. You got to know what that is. You can read about that in my books. A book I wrote here, and what did I call it? Prevention is the cure. I want to prevent it in the first place. Dr. Rudy's War on Diabetes and the industries that created it. Yeah, the drug companies, industries, school lunch program, they're allowing kids to become diabetic because they're feeding them the wrong food. They had cinnamon buns for breakfast. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, who I like very much, before he became mayor of New York, while he was in Brooklyn, a policeman gained a lot of weight. And he started having trouble seeing, which is one of the earliest complications of diabetes. Usually the first to go is some hearing trouble because of the smallest vessels. The diabetes causes trouble there. Next is eyes. and he was almost blind, but he learned about this, and now then he published a book, which really is a vegetarian diet, which is fine, and that's a help, but that's not the final answer. If you read a book about the vegetable Khan, there's a book out there which explains the vegetable way of eating, the meat way of eating. There are certain minerals, vitamins made only by meat that do not occur in vegetables. So the omnivore is really the correct way. But if you eat strictly the vegetarian thing, you are eating less sugar, and you will improve. But I'd like you to understand the physiology of vegetables and meat so that you get it and eat the right way of eating. So the school lunch program, just look at it. There's cinnamon buns for breakfast. So what do you think is going to happen to our kids? They're going to become diabetic. And they don't even check their serum insulins and things. So we're catching them late in the disease process, and they will have changes already in them. And you notice they just approved some of the GLP-1 inhibitor drugs for children instead of what they should have been pushing. The drug companies just making money. What they should have been pushing is to get the serum insulin test and educate the parents and children, and maybe the schools could do it by serving a proper meal to children, and then the diabetes epidemic would go down. Because some of the things that some of these kids will have memory loss, dementia. Some will have their extremities amputated in their 30s and 40s. Yeah, some will have kidney disease when they're still in high school. It's so simple to correct this situation. And public health is not educating the people. We don't see public health on television. They'll say we don't have enough money. Well, I'm not spending any money. The library, the head of public health could be sitting next to me and say, Rudy, I don't agree or disagree, or I'd like to add some information. Odds are he never read these books either. And really, it does not really inform it. Sugar industry, of course, is promoting it because they make more money selling sugary processed food. House and Senate lobbyists are not changing what they push at public health because they're making money. The sugar pop industry is giving them a lot of money. Poor nutrition teaching is occurring in the schools. Processed food companies make money selling food that has been stripped of the fiber and the germ, and you're eating nothing but sugar. Have a nice donut for a breakfast. They have moved the donut shops a little bit away from the school system, but they're not far away. Soda pop machines, maybe not on campus, but they're not far away. And kids will have them become obese and become diabetic. So processed food industry have their foot in there. Cow's milk also increased rates of type 1 diabetes because the protein in their casein can have an autoimmune reaction. You develop type 1 diabetes. So, and what happens, a cow has a calf, and they inject it right away with the growth hormone, so the calf gets real big. So put it in a cage, there's increased milk production, but all the hormones and things that they put on the cow to get the bacteria off the cow, you drink the milk, your kids drinking all these hormones and affecting their body. And some have an autoimmune reaction and develop type 1 diabetes because they're drinking milk. Also, some vegetables have a lot of gluten in them, and you have a gluten reaction, and that also can cause type 1 diabetes, where you need a shot every day or you don't survive. So there's lack of preventative teaching in the hospital system. I've been there. They have a diabetic department, obesity department, but they don't want you to get rid of your diabetes because there is where the money is in all the diseases. Diabetes, obesity, and diabetes are a result of obesity. They're not a separate disease. And a big problem, I think, we doctors are heavily responsible. The medical school does not have proper nutrition teaching of the medical students, so they have lack of knowledge. And then they move them into the hospital system right away, and they know very little about it. They teach you how to manage diabetes, but not how to prevent it. And it's easy, and it's easy. Eating the right food, maybe some good fats, maybe 20% protein or such. Our body regulates protein actually very well. We need some protein, but the body regulates protein. If you eat too much protein, it gets converted to sugar. Yes, you can produce diabetes by eating too many meat products. 80% of the protein breakdown to amino acids when you're doing some activity like tap dancing or tennis or pickleball that I play is broken down into amino acids, and they are reconfigured 80%. Only 20% of the protein intake gets put into the pool of amino acids to keep your body strong. So too much, when you see bodybuilders taking extra shots and pills to increase their bulk, I tell you, a lot of that may just be fat. Because the body will metabolize it and make sugar. A very good book that I like you to look at, especially if you're overweight, but it would work great too if you're diabetic and you're not overweight, to get the fat out of your pancreas and your liver, is Simply Keto, a practical approach to health and weight loss with 100 easy low-carb recipes by Susan Ryan. And you can find her on the internet. Her book, $35. But most of these websites, like Amazon Books, you could buy it used, $5. I bought 20 used copies and gave them for free to a group of church members that I was teaching who had a weight problem, and within a few weeks they had lost 15 to 20 pounds apiece, and their diabetes went boom. I had them check it with serum insulins and sugars, and I was correct. What I like about this book also is, says Susan Ryan of Keto. Now, I'll tell you what ketones are in a minute. Karma, K-A-R-M-A, YouTube, because she has about 10 short YouTube posts there which talk about the psychology of eating, because some of that we use as a stress reliever. I do. We all do. And for some people, they become addicted to sugar. There are people who believe, and I think I'm one of them, that sugar addiction is more addictive than narcotics or cocaine. I debated that on one of these shows one time, and I think she was correct, because we have to eat every day. We don't have to drink or take narcotics every day, but we have to eat every day. So that I wonder about it. So the psychology is a large part to do with this, and you can learn about the psychology of it by her YouTube shows. But also, if you read the first 60 pages of this book, she really explains what Simply Keto is all about. And then she does recommend 3 meals, but you can make it 2. I know plenty of people, only 2. If you get 2, you'll be rid of diabetes in probably in 3 weeks. If you eat the 3rd meal, maybe 6 weeks, I don't know. But what I like it, she has pictures of every recipe. On every page is a calorie count, the amount of fat, the amount of protein, the amount of sugar, and if you're not rid of your diabetes in 6 weeks and you end out of here, it's not about skipping meals. Or, no, it's because your appetite goes down. And you don't have to eat every recipe, but they're really good. I have a lot of patients who no longer have diabetes who read this book, and those church members I talked about, and I can walk downtown through and find people who've lost it, and they come up to me and say, Rudy, I've lost my diabetes. Look at me. I lost all this weight. Don't I look beautiful? That happens to me commonly. So I beg you, I do not accept diabetes. I want you to stop it. Stop it. Stop it. And it's easy, and you have a lot of food to eat. It's just different food. And one thing I learned, too, from Jason Fung, F-E-N-G, look at his YouTube shows, he's from Canada, too, that even if you've had diabetes for 20, 30 years, once you eat this way properly, the fat will leave the pancreas, will leave the liver, and the pancreas will wake up and secrete insulin again. Wow. Now you're a normal person. And you can tap dance with me. Okay. And so we want to prevent, stop, reverse diabetes. You can just buy this book and follow that book, do nothing else. And that, frankly, that's good enough. If you do the fasting 2 meals a day, you can read about that more detail in my book. Prevention is the cure. Prevent it in the first place. But if you do fasting, it'll reverse a lot quicker. It's not hard to do. I ain't hungry in the morning because of these other hormones my body secretes in 95% of the time. And exercise is important, but that's maybe 10-20% of it. I exercise regularly, but at least take a walk, enjoy music, make us feel good. I think we all want to feel better. And you can go to YouTube, incidentally, go Rudy Cashman, YouTube, Amazon, Rudy Cashman, Facebook, Rudy Cashman. I have on there 700 of these TV shows, all available to you for free. And to be free of disease, you'll live happier, longer, and you won't have to pay for all these medications. Even with good insurance, there are costs involved, deductibles, all that is eliminated. And you feel a lot better. The minute you're into ketone molecules, the high energy molecules, you'll feel and have a smile on your face. And we'll see you next time. And I do this every 2 weeks. And in about a month or so, I'm going to have a gentleman here who used to weigh 360, lost 160. And the major thing on his part was he stopped drinking soda pop. There's a good start for you. Yeah, soda pop plays more of a part in our weight and diseases than most of us, including myself, appreciate. But soda pop, he stopped that, and he lost all that weight. It was as simple as that. Now he's eating the way I recommend. And why do we do this show? We love you. We care about you. And like I said, read some of these books. Simply Keto, Goodbye Pills and Needles. My book, and you can live to be 100. If you're younger than me, which is probably so, well, I plan to live to be 110. Disease-free, playing pickleball. See you next time. Bye-bye.